is this, sorry, yeah, is this what you really want to do, and why do you want to do it, right? So, okay, coming back to my +2 is when I decided I don't want to do engineering. I was a pure sciences student. I did physics, chemistry, maths, bio. Um, Completed my ISC. I really liked biochemistry and I was really good at math. Physics was a byproduct of all of these things that I had to do in order to pursue these other three things. I decided to go and do my undergrad in biotechnology from St. Xavier's College in Calcutta itself. Right. So again, my conditioning back then told me that, if you get into a Xavier's or a presidency, you stay here. That was the level of awareness I had back then, which was like not great. And I encourage all of you, at least those of you who are in school, to really look beyond and see, which, because like one thing which all of you should keep in mind, I think, which is really important, is your peer group is extremely, extremely important, right? So when you're going to college or when you're pursuing your master's, university level, or any kind of education that you're in, that you're planning to pursue or pursuing, your peer group should be a factor that you consider when you choose a particular institution. Say someone wants to do a bachelor's in psychology, right? You have some 5, 6, 7 colleges in your mind that you qualify for. Uh, do your research, do your due diligence, talk to people who have attended those colleges, try and understand for yourself if the peer group is something that resonates with you, is in line with your aspirations. What kind of other opportunities does that college provide, right? Because life is not just about academics, it's about a lot of other things that mold you as a person and help you to make decisions better later on in life. So it's very, very important that you take into account your peer group, because that will also become your alumni network later on. And alumni network, in my experience, is one of the things that really, really works out in the long run. So just keep that in mind when you select institutions in the future, because I guess apart from school, all the other institutions that most of us end up going to is a function of your own decision and parental decision. While school may or may not be, it wasn't for me, of course, and I changed 2 schools in my life. So yeah, I think that's something all of us should keep in mind going forward, right? Post school, I said I went to Xavier's in Calcutta for my graduation, and then again, like I said before, that a career in academics is considered extremely lucrative where I come from, especially for women, because it gives you a very good work-life balance, gives you enough vacation days, allows you to do a lot more with your family, etc. But after I completed my graduation, I was like, hey, I don't want to spend time in a lab doing a PhD, because like that's just not somewhere I see myself. So what do I do? While my parents were very, very excited about me taking the GRE exam, going to the US, doing the PhD and doing the postdocs and all of that, I said that, hey, there's this program called the Young India Fellowship that I want to do. I'm not sure how many people here have heard of the Young India Fellowship. And I also know that all of you are eligible for the Young India Fellowship, which is why I'm going to take a minute to talk about that. Young India Fellowship is a 1-year residential post graduate diploma in liberal arts and leadership. It's the flagship program of Ashoka University, which is physically in Sonipat, right? Through this 1 year, you go through, I think, 8 terms of 5 to 6 weeks each, right? And it really widens and broadens your horizons in terms of different kinds of subjects that that's the most superficial level of broadening. I'll come to the other factors later. So I, as a person, right, I had never really studied sociology, psychology, things like there was no real course that I had attended on, say, critical writing or critical thinking or academic writing, right? So for me, the YF really opened up doors to all of these different kinds of disciplines. And there were other things that I had studied before, but it was like really different, the kind of lenses that these professors used to impart that knowledge. I went back to learning a lot more history, which I had really enjoyed in school. There was a course in mathematical thinking, not mathematics. There was something in mathematical thinking. There was an interesting course in literature, which was largely shaped around Shakespeare and his plays and the different interpretations. There was a course on Bollywood cinema, right? And like, I think I will never be able to go back to watching DDLJ again without thinking that it's grossly sexist. So these are the things that YF really planted in my head. And I got introduced. YF was also the first time that I was living outside of my house. Um, I had a roommate, of course, in the hostel, and the peer group was extremely diverse, not just in terms of the different states that people came from, but also in terms of what they had studied, the language that they spoke, the socioeconomic strata that they came from, the aspirations that they had, all of those. Like, it was a very diverse mix of 200 young people living in the campus, and talking about all these things which post YF, very few of us are able to actually vocalize the things that we really speak about in YF, because YF is the safe bubble where any kind of thought is encouraged, any kind of idea is encouraged. So all of that, right? The other thing that YF really did for me is it helped me become very comfortable with ambiguity and understand the concept of life not working out either in black or white, right? There are a lot of grays that we need to deal with, whether it is in our personal lives, whether it is at our workplace, school, college, etc. With people, there is very rarely a black or a white or a yes or a no answer that you will get. You need to be able to confidently sort of navigate through those ambiguities, which is very, very essential even to your growth as a person. Again, something that no one really told me back then. It was just, I realized that this was what the takeaway was long after I had sort of started subconsciously practicing this, right? So this was another pillar of my learnings from Wire. And also, like, I came out a very changed person in terms of my personality. I became very much more extroverted. I became very comfortable in being able to be vulnerable in front of people, right? In being able to voice exactly what I feel without trying to not reveal my true feelings about a particular subject or topic at hand. Say, if I'm very passionate about politics, which I am, I make sure that I put across my views exactly the way I feel them, which is not something I would have been comfortable with, 6, 7 years back, right? So yeah, these are the things that YF did for me, and I'm extremely grateful. And I keep working with the Alumni Association. I represent my batch actually in the Alumni Association right now. And we've been working on the COVID relief efforts as an alumni group and all of that. So that's been extremely rewarding. So yes, that was about what I did after graduation. I did a year of YF, and then from campus, I got placed in this boutique education consulting firm called 9.9 Education, which is not so small anymore. So I worked as part of this, very small 4-member team. We were based out of this client location, which was a private university in Gurgaon. And the problem statement was that you have to transform this university into a better talent brand. It was an extremely bureaucratic setup with the trustees and the board members and everything else. And the other thing that we were mandated to do as a team was to start a new age 1-year MBA program, more focused on making people employable rather than imparting the bookish aspects of knowledge, etc. So we successfully did manage to launch that MBA program in a matter of 6 months. And we did manage to get some, younger and more industry focused faculty, etc., into this very bureaucratic university. And this was in the year 2015, 2016, I worked with this firm. 2015 December is when I came across this other experience that has really changed my life, which was called the Jagrati Yatra. Right, a couple of my batchmates from the Young India Fellowship had gone there before, and I heard about it, and then I googled it one day. So the Jagrati Yatra, for those of you who do not know about it, and you can look this up later at your own free time. It is a 14-day train journey to different places of social entrepreneurship, cutting across almost all states of India, not all. It starts in Bombay, ends in Bombay again. Starts on the 24th of December midnight and ends on 8th of January, right? So while during the nights, you're constantly traveling in the train. During the day is when you stop at a particular city or a town where you visit with a person or a business, which is called a role model visit. For example, in Delhi, you go to Gunj and you meet Anshu Gupta and you hear him talk about his journey and what Gunj does, which is extremely inspiring. I have been associated with the Yatra since 2015, but every year I make sure that I land up at Gunj on that particular day just to listen to Anshu Bhaiya talking about the incredible work that he does, the incredible work that Gunj does, right? So like him, there is another stop at Tilonia in Rajasthan where you meet Bankar Roy, who set up the Barefoot College in Tilonia. You go to Nalanda, where you visit the ruins of the Nalanda University. You hear from the locals about it, and you go to Ganjam, where Joe Madhyat is running this insanely awesome sanitation program, etc. You go to Madurai, where you visit the eye institute there, which sort of subsidizes and makes eye treatment like the the curable blindness that exists in India. In case you guys don't know, there's a lot of blindness in India right now, which is perfectly curable, but people are just not able to access those treatments. So this particular organization in Madurai actually makes such treatment affordable for those groups of people, and they can, get the required surgery, etc. It's called the Arvind Eye Institute. You can look it up again at your own free time. So, another aspect about this yatra is that when you go for the first time as a participant, you travel in a sleeper class dabba, right? Which is also something I had never imagined myself as being able to do. Travel for 14 days in a sleeper class dabba, take showers in the train. For the first time when I went, I was late 24, I think that was my age. And I was facilitator to this group of 6 girls and 6 boys. And I was doing this exact river of life exercise with them, and I was helping them through their business plan competition and all those village visits and etc. And there was a lot of diversity again in terms of the language, the socioeconomic strata, personalities of people. There were people who just didn't want to talk, didn't want to speak up. There was a French girl in my cohort. So JY has people coming in from outside as well. French girl in my cohort who did not speak English, and it was tough. But like all of those barriers, we managed to somehow work it around, and it was like a very memorable experience for me, which is why I keep going back every year. I'm part of their core team now, and I lead all their entrepreneurship related initiatives, which makes me come to the second aspect of what JY has really done for me is when I went back in December 2016. I met my current boss on the train and a couple of my colleagues on the train, and I had an interaction with them. I didn't know they were looking for people. When I came back, I saw an email, in the Jagrati Yatra Google group, which I applied to, and I got in and I joined PwC in April 2017. Yes, end of April 2017, and I've been with them since, which now brings me to the consultant part of my life. As part of PwC, I have, been part of the 5-member team that has set up the startup advisory practice for the firm, like from scratch, if I have to put it that way. Previously, PwC India never really worked with startups per se in terms of a revenue generating business. So what we work towards in the last 4 years has been to enable teams across PwC to be able to work with public and private sector clients that are interested in working with startups. So that is what I do for my day job. If you have questions, I'll leave my email ID with Nupur here. She can share it with me and we can continue to be in touch. But I feel like we will exceed time if I don't cut it short. Um, I was leading the business from Delhi NCR. I still work as a subject matter expert across different business teams in PwC and help them, understand how they can work better with startups, how they can evangelize startups better. I can give you an example of a couple of my projects. I was working with the government of Telangana to help them or to recommend how they should improve their ease of starting up in the state. I am currently working with an FMCG major, like it's a top 5 FMCG company in the world. I'm currently helping them, set up the processes and the platforms required for their internal business teams to be able to work with startups. I am again working with a major automobile company to help them do the same. I'm working on another project, which is to seed and scale 500 rural entrepreneurs in Uttarakhand, right? So all of these are the different kinds of projects that I do with both public and private sector clients. Like you could have guessed, the first and the last projects that I talked about were for the public sector, for government clients essentially, and the second and third project are for private sector clients, right? So it's been a fun journey. I am still there. I'm not bored. Every project is kind of a new project. And also, I do have a large network of incubators, accelerators, startups in the country. I've facilitated a lot of hackathons across different cities in partnership with multiple different incubators. If you guys are familiar with T-Hub, with CIIE, IIM Ahmedabad, with SINIIT Bombay, RTBI, IIT Madras, all of these people, some of the lesser known ones as well. For example, the one at IIIT Hyderabad. Multiple of these incubators that we've been working with over the last 4 years. And apart from my day job, I am associated with, like I said, the Jagriti Yatra. I spend a fair amount of time with the School for Social Entrepreneurs, where I help them in the selection of their fellows. So School for Social Entrepreneurs is again something that you might want to look up. So I am basically associated with the India chapter. It's a global brand, and they have a 9-month flagship fellowship program where they select social entrepreneurs and help them to, get their idea to a stage where they can incorporate it as a company, and further to that, they help them with scale up and fundraising interventions. So, yep, that is again something that I do, and I'm currently looking at this very exciting project where I'm starting a podcast for women entrepreneurs with NAIC based out of Rajasthan. So, yep, looking forward to all of these things. I am also part of the something called the Global Shapers community, which I feel like is relevant to talk about here because we recently reduced the age, the lower age limit for application to 18. So I feel like some of you are already eligible and some of you will become eligible in some years. So you can check that out. The Global Shapers is an initiative of the World Economic Forum, and it works in a chapter-based manner. So I'm part of the Hyderabad hub currently because I am physically in Hyderabad. I used to be part of the Gurgaon hub before. I just transitioned. So every city, or rather most cities, sorry, have hubs. And a hub is basically bunch of young people who live in that city and who identify challenges and work towards the development of the city, right? So, yeah, I think that is about my life, my journey, and the different experiences, like the major experiences that I have had. Um, my whole point of bringing this up, etc., is also for you guys to reflect later as to what is it that you really want to do in life, what are the different career choices that are available, etc. And also, like I totally understand when your parents, your guardians sort of push you into extracurriculars, apart from your academics and all of that. But just be mindful of something. Your time is very precious. Time is the most precious resource we have, not money. So be very, very cognizant of where you're spending that time. If you're doing an extracurricular, does that sort of tie back to what you want to do? Do the dots connect, right? Or if you're doing an extracurricular that you're not very sure, but that you're good at, but you're not very sure about how it fits into your life per se, then maybe you should think about it from the perspective of what are you getting out of it? Are you sort of deriving any tangible learnings, tangible outcomes? Is it adding to the person that you are, right? So these are, some pointers that will help you make better decisions further in life. I feel like if I knew this when I was your age or even later, it would have helped me a lot. But there was no real conversation or dialogue about all this going around at that time, right? So yeah, that is about it. I think now I will move on to the design thinking aspect of this session. And Nupur, would it be okay to have 10 minutes for Q&A now, or should we leave that for after the presentation?
Yeah, no, your choice, Antara, completely. And if I'm very sure, had I been in their position, I would have wanted to ask some questions, get
Yeah,
clarification.
yeah, that is what
So,
my understanding is also.
yes,
So in case
completely
you
up
guys
to you.
have any questions, we can take them. And also something I would like you to do is to take, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and just jot down in the chat window of this call, what are the three things, one, two, three, that you want to do in life? Single words, no sentences. If you don't have three things, two things, one thing works. But feel free to put it in the chat, and we will look into that. And you know we just want to see if you feel that this half an hour monologue that I just had made you think a little bit about what kind of what is it that you want to do later in life. And yeah, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask questions if you have any. Okay, I see someone's written investment banker. Write books, travel, train people. Okay, interesting. Write books is also something that I have in my checklist. Travel, of course. Be in the finance industry, scientific research, great. It's very interesting. Astrophysics, wow. Learn as many musical instruments as I can. Luxury brand manager or work in finance, okay. Travel, be involved in policy setting. Yes, definitely. I work a little bit in policy. That's a very exciting space to be in. Agreed. Artist or travel, becoming a chef, in great, amazing actually. Travel, be popular. Yes, influencer. You can become that. Earn money, donate while living in Canada or US or Germany. Earn a degree in music. Cricketer. Start UP, become the chief officer. Great. Working in global community pose any hardships as compared to working in a national community? No, not at all. There are no hardships. It's a voluntary organization. You don't get paid for it. it's just a good bunch of people to work together with on a voluntary basis. Of course, fly a plane solo, amazing commercial airline pilot, cricketer, YouTuber, great. All of these choices. I'm so glad that you guys have all these options already in your head, and you don't need external nudging to be able to do that. If we don't have any questions per se, then I'm going to just move on to the next section of this larger session. Okay, I think we can move on. Nupur, if you can just share your screen.
Ansha, you want me to share my screen? Or
Yeah,
would you
yeah,
want to do
yeah,
that?
that would be good because I'm logged in from my phone. It was going to be a little difficult.
All right, just give me a few seconds.
No worries. In the meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions, please ask. And I'm not sure if someone's put something in the chat, which I might have missed because there are a lot of messages. You can just feel free to unmute yourselves and ask the question. Yeah. I understand you've had a basic design thinking session yesterday, right? So what I will do is I will focus more on the activity or the interactive parts of what I have prepared, and I'll just take you through that side of it. Neha has her hand up.
Yes, Miss.
Yes,
Hi.
Neha.
I just had
Yeah,
a question.
sure.
What is a difficulty you think is like commonly encountered when doing the design thinking process, and how do you think we can like avoid it when we're kind
That's
of
something
doing
I was
it
going to
on our
cover
own?
anyway. But just to answer, one thing that I feel I face a lot when I'm ideating or I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to go forward is the fact that I get very attached to my idea, right? Which makes it very difficult to pivot if things are not working out. So getting attached to your idea is not a great idea in terms of what design thinking as a principle says, right? You should be able to let go of your entire idea or parts of your idea once you've done your validation interviews with your customers, and if you feel that this is not something that the customer really wants, or it's not something that solves the customer's problems, no matter how great that idea is for you, because at the end of the day the idea is your baby, you need to move on from that idea into something that works better, right? So yep, that is one challenge I feel that I have personally experienced. Vishaka, how do you pronounce your name? I'm sorry. You have your hand up. Yep, please ask.
So actually, the question I had was, design thinking obviously requires a lot of data, especially in the first stage of emphasizing. So, what if somebody who wants like to start up, but does not exactly have as many resources at hand?
So when you say data, I am assuming these are customer interviews because that is the kind of data that you collect, right? And customer interviews, doing customer interviews, of course, depends on the persona or the type of customer that you're looking at. But doing customer interviews does not necessarily involve or is not necessarily resource intensive, right? So it could be a simple, in the keeping the current context in mind, it could be a simple video call or a phone call, or even a very detailed, well thought out Google form that you can send across to your target persona, and they can fill it out and send it back to you. So yeah, it's at the very basic level, it's not really that resource intensive. Yeah. And at the basic level is when you need to have the maximum number of interviews or data points, because it's like a pyramid. The higher you go up you can sort of limit the interactions, but you should start with the maximum number of interactions so that you know that you're proceeding in the right direction. Did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Most welcome. Okay, anyone else? Or we can, take questions. I'll take about 30 minutes to go through with this, and then we can have the rest of the time for discussions, right? So, okay, we can move to the next slide. Actually, the third slide, I can just skip. This is just what is design thinking, and yeah, this is more important. The left-hand side basically calls out what design thinking is, right? It's a set of principles, process, practices to help create order out of chaos, which is the ideation process. And it turns your anxiety into creativity, self-doubt into agency, and inaction into action. So that is the core objective of going through a design thinking exercise, is to convert the things on the left to the things on the right, right? That is what design thinking is supposed to help you do. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So when you are basically ideating, or when you have a problem statement in mind, it could be any problem statement. It could be as simple as, I am bored sitting at home during COVID. What do I do to get out of it? And it is like a overlapping Venn diagram of sorts, which is adding to the problem, which is like anxiety, self-doubt, and inaction.
Ma'am, this means to say that anxiety and inaction combine to form self-doubt.
Not always. It can be a combination of both. It can be a combination of all three, because you'll see that the circles, like self-doubt is not completely a subset of both of those. There's like a portion of self-doubt which is outside of inaction and anxiety as well, right? So sometimes, like, and design thinking as a vertical or as a subject is very human centered, right? It's not something which is very automated. It's not something that is very mechanical, right? Or fixed or set in stone. It's dynamic in nature. So sometimes it's depending on the person, it's a mixture of two, it's a mixture of three, it's a mix, it can be just one also, because maybe you have something in place. It's just your bias for action, or the lack of a bias for action rather, that's stopping you from taking the next step, right? So that is where design thinking really gives you that nudge. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So ideally, when we define, what is a good idea to work on, we can see that there are three broad things that we should keep in mind. And we should also keep in mind that the intersection of these three broad ideas is what is deemed as an optimum problem to work on, optimum idea to work on, which is desirability, viability, and feasibility, right? So while ideating and thinking about this is the problem that I want to solve, these are the three factors that one should always keep in mind, so as to ensure that this is what the need of the hour is, right? That is what it helps to clarify. We can move on to the next slide. Yeah, so as part of this session, I would want you to have three key takeaways. I mean, not always possible, but that is the idea that I've come in with. The principles of design thinking that you can use in your everyday life and work. What are the basic tools that help you to apply these principles in your life? An example to a reference sort of a map, which we will create shortly, which can help you, which can act as a primer for when you get stuck with any other problem in the future, right? Can move on. Yeah. How can you participate? Feel free to interject and ask questions. You can put your queries in the chat window, but I would really ask if you unmute and ask me the question directly, because it's hard to keep track of both. Or you can, be a patient listener. You can reflect and come back to me with your questions later. That's also something we can do, right? Moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so now is when we begin this exercise. where you take a couple of minutes to think to yourself, what is a challenge that you are facing currently, right? It could be as mundane as the one that I cited earlier, saying that I am bored at home because I am stuck at home because of COVID, right? Because of lockdown. It could be something else. It could be very simply that people in my apartment or in my society where I live are not disposing garbage properly, right? It could be anything. So just think from where you are right now. What is a problem that, or what is a challenge that you would really want to address, right? It could be pertaining to your home, school, college, your internship, whatever else. And you need to really feel about this problem that you want to solve, in the sense it should be a problem that you are passionate about solving. It for example, I'm passionate about education, and anything about education really piques my interest. But say if I'm not that triggered or interested by sanitation, then I will not want to work in that space, right? So just ensure that you choose a problem statement which is close to your heart, which you really want to work on, and which you will move mountains to solve, basically. So that's the idea. So I'm just going to pause for 2 minutes. Let's take time till 3:49. It's 3:47 for you to think of that idea. Sorry, I realized I was speaking on mute. I'm saying that please go ahead and put an emoji of your choice, so that we are able to get a fair idea of where everyone is at, and if we need more time to do this. I can see one thumbs up. Not sure who it is. Okay, it is Varun Grover. Okay. Guys, please feel free to use any emoji of your choice. Okay, Adit is done. Okay, I have 6 people who say they're done, 7, 8. Okay, the numbers are increasing. That's great. Yes, yes. Interesting. Cool. I would encourage the rest of you. Okay, we can take maybe 1 more minute and then we will go on to the next part. Okay, some of you are sending me direct messages saying done. Great. Okay, it is 3:50. I think we should move on in the interest of time. Nupur, if you could just scroll to the next slide. Right. Okay, so a few things that we will keep in mind while doing the exercise that we are about to do. is embrace shortcomings or challenges, right? Do not spend all of your time perfecting a prototype, which is what we are going to create next. You should always, once you have a version 1 ready, don't wait till you create a version 10 to have those conversations with your customer, the perceived customer of what you're trying to build or who you're trying to solve for. And the third one, like I answered someone's question earlier, is do not become too attached to your idea. That's never a good idea. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Yep. Design thinking is a non-linear process. Like you can see, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, and how these all are interconnected and how it's not a one-way street. Sometimes, after testing, you have to come back to ideate because you saw that your idea clearly did not fly with your customer, right? So, yep, all of those things, I think Nupur will share the PPT with you later, so you can also take a look at that. But I just want to get to the exercise bit of this. So, yep, if we could move on, rapid prototyping, fine, we can, see this later. It's okay. Yes. So this is the design brief, right? It's a very simplified template for you to work on. And we'll do this live as we are in this session. So what is your design goal? I'll just take a minute to, take you through what exactly it is that you want to fill out in these boxes with respect to the problem that you just identified. Your design goal is that you should be solving for a specific problem, like narrow down your problem as much as possible, because only then can you effectively create a solution or a product that will really help your end user, right? End user, it's the customer, right? Who are you designing for? Now, this is, the customers, people who will ultimately use what you have designed. So you need to think about something called persona, which I believe most of you would be familiar with. What is a persona? Persona is a type of customer. For example, if I say, teenagers of Hyderabad going to school between the ages of 13 to 18, right? It'll be a particular kind of people. There'll be some X number of people in Hyderabad that fit into that criteria. If I want to narrow it down further, I can say, teenagers in Hyderabad attending government schools or teenagers in Hyderabad attending private schools. If I want to narrow it down further, I will say teenagers who are male attending government schools or teenagers who are female attending government schools. Or again, narrowing it down further, I can say teenagers who are female with long hair attending government schools or something like that, right? Depends on what you are trying to solve for. Be as specific as you can. What would your success look like? So you need to have a couple of success KPIs, right? 2 to 3 factors. Which, for example, if I'm talking about the waste disposal example that I just highlighted before, what would you, if you design something, how would you call it a success? Say, hypothetically, there would be no stench around the colony or the society that you live. There would be, say, lesser water body pollution if there is a water body nearby and people are, recklessly throwing their trash there. There would be less pollution of a nearby water body or whatever it is. What are those 2 or 3 tangible things that you can think of, which will make you clearly say that, hey, my solution was a clear success or it was a clear failure, right? And what are the factors that constrain your solution, which is essentially what are the roadblocks that you see could arise to your reaching your goal with respect to what you're trying to solve for. again, coming back to the water waste disposal example, maybe your RWA will not be too pleased with what you're trying to do. Maybe the citizens, like people who live in your society, will be like, hey, you're taking away an easy way of disposing trash from us. They'll not be too happy with you and they might create some problems. So, yep, I need you to think along these lines, and with whatever problem it is that you have identified, if you could just, like, take a pen and paper, pencil and paper, whatever else, and just write out these, fill out these 4 boxes right now. Maybe take 10 minutes to fill out these boxes for me, and yep, I would be happy to see some of these later, and maybe I can
Ma'am, can you again
yeah.
explain what, ma'am, that line? What would success look like? Look like?
Okay,
Can
what
I
would
know?
success look like, right? Okay, so I'll go back to the example in case that's a better way to explain it, where we were talking about responsible methods or responsible practices to dispose waste in a housing society, right? So, for me, if I was to solve this problem, by saying that, go compost your waste, or creating situation, creating the facilities and incentivizing the residents to, compost the waste that they generate, or to have a truck come and pick it up for at a particular time of the day, or basically to encourage citizens, or to just do a bio waste composting for the entire society, not even leave it to individuals to do it alone, right? So for me, those would look like success. That would mean that I have successfully managed to nudge the residents of my housing society to dispose their waste in a more responsible fashion than what they were doing earlier, which is to, dump it maybe outside just outside the society, or dump it in a close by water body, which is creating water pollution, and all of those practices which are not appreciated, right? So success, what would your success look like, clearly tells the person reading your idea that what are the 2 or 3 minimum accomplishments that you need to have in order for you to, say, if you're the employee, go back to your boss and say that, hey, this project was a success, right? Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. So like this question means that like, yeah, I'll have to answer about what I'll have to do. That would look like it's success. The idea is success.
Yes.
Okay, okay. I'm done. I'm done.
Sure. Again, we'll follow the same thing as soon as you're done filling out these 4 boxes. And like I said, I'll leave my email ID here at the end of the session, and feel free to, just take a picture of this box, send it to me on email. I'll be very happy to see them, right? Because we cannot go over everyone's. Maybe, like, some of you, 2, 3 of you can volunteer to talk about what you have written in your design brief, right? And if time permits, more, but happy to take a look at all of them once you're completed. I think someone has their hand up. Adit, do you have a question, Adit?
No, no, ma'am, not anymore.
Acha, okay. So your hand is still up. That's right. Okay, so we'll take 10 minutes. It's 4 o'clock now by my watch. We will, at 4:10 is when I will request some of you to volunteer to discuss your design brief with all of us now, right? And just put those emojis up as soon as you're done.
कर ही लेते हैं मैंने
Meanwhile, I'm happy to take questions from anyone who has finished or anyone who's facing a problem. Just feel free to unmute yourselves and ask me the question. Yeah. Okay, there are two people who've sent me a direct message saying done. Great. I think we can start with both of you at 4:05. We can discuss what you have filled out in your design brief. Yes, it can be an idea for an online platform. Okay, we have another person who's done. Great. Yeah, you guys are super fast. That's really, really nice. Great. More of you are saying done. That's amazing. If you can just put up those emojis also like we did last time, that will give us a clear view of who's done. Great. Yes. You don't have to just put the thumbs up or the hands up. You can use any emoji you want. No, keep it up. Don't take it off so that, I'm able to see at a glance how many people are done.
I think the hand up is the only one that like stays for long. Other reactions go after a
Okay, okay.
certain.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Zoom. There's someone trying to enter the session. Do I let him in? Okay, I think of the people who are done, will someone volunteer to, discuss their design brief with the rest of us? Om, Vishakha, Bharat, anyone who will volunteer to
Can I
share?
share?
Yes, yes. Sorry, you can just
Yes,
introduce
good
yourself.
evening, everyone. I'm
Yeah.
Bharat Lakhotia. So, ma'am, should I start?
Yes, please.
My design goal was it's focused on education only. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been increase in the dropout rates, as we read in newspaper as well, and this has been impacting education for teenagers. As education is a necessity and right for young children, I would want to design a product which could help them self-study and be educated.
Right. Okay.
And the target audience, as you said, it has to be specific. So it's I have chosen teenagers of India, aged 13 to 17. And then the two
Okay.
success points are that the first point is that these students will continue learning new concepts and complete their education. And second point is that it would create better career opportunities for them.
Okay. Is there a
Also,
tangible way in which, you could measure these?
uh, like time period or
No, in terms
uh,
of when you say learning new skills, right? Will your
yes. So
platform? Yeah. Yeah, go on, go on.
yeah, so maybe through surveys, it's a good way to empathize with them. So maybe through surveys, I can also test the product and ask them what skills they have learned. Uh,
Okay, interesting.
Then the
Interesting.
factors which constrain my solutions are that they may not find my product engaging enough, and also they may find some concepts difficult to understand.
Okay, okay. And you're largely planning to do this in English?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So good start. What I would like you to think about more is, like I said, you have to be specific. Like, what are the skills that you're talking about here? Are they like, hard skills like, a course in R programming or C++ or something like that? Are you talking about soft skills like interpersonal relations, negotiation skills? What are these skills that you're talking about, right? You need to give
Yes, ma'am. I'll think about it.
more clarity. And also in terms of understanding how will you nudge your learners to complete these courses. That's something that you should probably keep in mind, right? What is it that will motivate them? Because, and why is it that they will come to your platform? Because there's Coursera, there's Udemy, there's Khan Academy, there's so many edX, etc. What is it that is so special about what you are offering, that they will come to you, right? Because consider,
Yes, ma'am.
you need to take into account the competition that is there, and you need to figure out how are you different and how are you better. Or the better does not, different does not necessarily mean better, by the way, which is also maybe something all of us can benefit from. Different does not always mean better. Different could be an easier to use interface. Different could be
I
just the quality of instructors,
I think
right?
the IP
Anything.
address.
Sorry, I think someone was saying something. Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. Different does not always mean better. Different could be n number of things which will act as a hook to differentiate your offering from competition, right? If there is competition. Cool. I will leave it there. Who will volunteer next?
I can go
Yes.
next.
Okay, I think Vishakha, I can just see her in front of me, which is why I
Ma'am,
saw her raising her hand.
Uh,
Uh, okay.
so thank you for picking me. My goal is a professional messaging app now. So before we used like business used were signed on pen on papers because it had a certain authenticity to it, and then it moved on to emails. But now business owners, especially because of the pandemic, are literally operating their companies through WhatsApp, through chatting apps like WhatsApp. But it does not provide that sense of authenticity. So my goal is to create a professional messaging app where business owners or just people who are doing business can sign agreements and talk about deals with a sense of assurity and security. It's going to have features to save the conversations and archive the conversations, and the search system would be optimized so that they can return to the conversations later. And features like deleting the chats and all would not be present over there.
That's great. Like I've never heard of such a solution, but yeah, I guess like especially in the context of today, that would be something that you might want to think of more, because of course like signing of deals etc is still happening, but it's happening like someone's taking out a hard copy, print out of it, scanning, sending, people are signing again, scanning, resending, and it's getting signed by both parties. So yeah, if there is a platform, portal, whatever it is, or an app that is facilitating this while ensuring that no one is getting compromised, no information is getting compromised, I think that would be a great idea. And what do you think can be your success factors? Like what would you like to measure to call your idea a success?
Yeah, ma'am. Reputation of the app, the platform of being reliable and authentic, and just has like a sense of security around it, and basically a good traffic in general.
Right, so you might want to talk about the number of downloads if you're talking about an app.
Yeah, the traffic.
You might want to track reviews, maybe how many people are coming back to, say, if I'm your customer, am I using your app more than once? That is also very important,
It's,
right? Yeah, and what are the challenges?
yeah, ma'am. People's resilience to change and hopping onto another app, because this isn't my people might not consider it as big of a problem, but I've seen my father, his missus is set in Benin while we're sitting in Mumbai. So he's like all of the conversations and how like all the discussions happen on WhatsApp, but it's like, just let's just confirm it once on mail. Then there's a lot of chaos because of that.
Right.
Being a business owner himself, that like is a constraint, but people's
Mm-hmm.
resilience to it would possibly pose a problem. Of course, copies of the app.
Yeah, there will be duplicates cropping up in no time, even if there is no such solution right now.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yep, cool. That's a really cool idea, and maybe think about it and see how you can do something there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who will go next?
I'll go next.
Yes, please introduce yourself. Your Om, right?
Yes, I'm Om, and I'm basically in the 11th grade. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for sharing your story. It was quite insightful and nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I had an idea for this sort of app which lets you connect to other people who like music. Now, before I get into it, I'd like to say that music has really sort of changed my life and changed me as a person. And what I feel is that, especially during a time like this pandemic, where mental health is something that's really, really important. You need to take care of your mental health, probably more than your physical health, because it's really easy to get scared of what's going on around you. So music is therapeutic. It's and it also boosts your creativity, and it overall makes you a well-rounded person. It makes you more creative. Your right brain is more strengthened when you learn music. So my app will basically connect people who want to learn a new instrument or a new song on an instrument they already know, and basically make them more well-rounded in general. This app is mostly designed for anybody who wants to learn music from scratch or a new instrument. But it's more it's most preferably for high school students who are looking to expand their interests and explore their world, and build a profile for college. It'll be centered towards people who want to build their profile around music. Um, a benchmark of success would be, say, around 500 people who show progress in an instrument that they're learning, and having their lives actually impacted by this app. Another benchmark of success would be that my app, or the online platform, will be verified by good and accomplished music institutions and teachers, saying that it is a credible place to go to learn music and to basically build your profile. And some constraints that we'll have building this app would be not reaching the right audience. So if we reach people who don't like music or not interested in music, then it's really futile. There is no point of having an app like that. So reaching the right audience would be really important. And what I've noticed having my own band is that when you're trying to record music online, it's really difficult because almost every virtual meeting platform has this audio exam or learn music for that matter. So what I feel is that having an online platform with the best quality audio without any audio lags would really set us apart from our competition, and basically help people learn music better.
Great. Now I want you to think about this a little. Like, if you want to, are you looking at, when you say you want to teach someone music, are you looking at only teaching someone to play a musical instrument? Are you also looking at the theoretical aspects of music, right?
Yes.
Because like there is a theoretical aspect to music which is required when you clear some of those levels, etc. Even if it is a musical instrument and not a kind of music. Like, for example, I trained in Rabindra Sangeet for 5 years. So it was not just the singing part of it. It was also learning about, the history and how to actually play that music on a harmonium. So, which I find quite complicated, but yeah. So all of those things are part of it. So are you planning to provide that as a holistic offering? Or is the intent of your app to just give a novice person interested in, say, playing the ukulele, uh, basic skills to play one or two simple songs on the ukulele? What is your objective? You need to define it, refine it rather, a little more. And yeah, I think that is where you need a little more clarity,
Right.
right?
So,
Yeah.
like I myself, I'm like a grade three Trinity certified, keyboard player. So,
Mhm.
I know my fair share of musical notation, and it's actually amazing the things you can do with this knowledge, the staff notation. That is, you can learn virtually any sound once you're past a certain level. So, I definitely
Mhm.
want to have people learn staff notation because it's basically like teaching somebody music for life. They won't need education in a certain instrument after a certain point if they
Mhm.
want to learn any song. So yes, teaching the theory of music is something that I really would like to have an emphasis on. I forgot to mention that, but
Mhm.
yes.
Okay, very interesting. Great. Who else who would like to share their design brief with us? I see Sia's hand up. Sia, if you could just unmute
Hi,
yourself.
good
Yeah.
afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So, ma'am, listening to everyone. So, I already have a website running, which is called De-Stress Me, and our aim is basically to relieve some mental and emotional pressure that teenagers go through every single day, right? So, we offer them support groups, and we offer them outsource professionals and offer them this professional service. But I think somewhere where it's lacking is because no traffic is coming at the moment because it just started. But I feel
Mhm.
somewhere that it's lacking is the right, again, what Om was saying, the right audience is not finding that this portal, or there are too many some similar startups which are doing something like this. So I'm somehow getting confused where to maybe stand out, and how to maybe make do something in this startup that can stand out and call out to the teenagers.
Right, right. That's a very valid point, and especially post-pandemic, there's a lot of mental health initiatives out there. So how do you differentiate yourself from the rest is very, very important for you to think on if you want to build on this. So if I may ask, as a part of this website, what is it that you really do?
So basically we offer them services like in support group there are teenagers alongside one professional who's just going to be overlooking, and you guys can talk about anything and everything. And initially there will be phases of the support group, and after that we'll be divided into different groups for ice breaking activities and learning activities if someone wants to do something like that based on the need. And the option where professional guidance is needed, then that is all on the professional that work with us. So that is a paid thing. So we've kept it free initially, the support group, because we're a startup. So we would like the teenagers to use the service and then judge that, okay, is it helping me out or is it not? And we
Right.
offer them blogs and we make videos. So yeah, we doing all that at the moment.
So are you doing this, if I am, correct me if I'm wrong, are you doing this in sort of a cohort-based fashion? Because you're talking about support groups, right? And support groups are like
Yes,
multiple people. So you're onboarding
yes,
people in cohorts, not individually.
yes.
Acha, so if I sign up on your platform today, I will be assigned to a cohort, or how does that work?
So that depends. If you register for the, if you just sign up and you just want to talk,
Mm.
so then you can talk through chat with us. So because
So
of
what if I
safety
want to
reasons,
talk
yeah,
verbally, like vocally, not chat?
yeah. So we cancel that option for the reason because teenagers, we are minor, and we don't know
Mm.
if the other person who shows up on the call is really genuine and
Right.
has genuine interest while talking. So because of the safety reasons,
Mm.
there we canceled that. Otherwise, we had the one-to-one session with the teen, and you can just
Mm.
talk and they're there to listen. But because of the
Mhm.
safety reasons, we cancelled it out and only kept the support group.
Sure. You might want to think a little more along the lines of how do you, like I said earlier, how do you distinguish yourself? How do you differentiate yourself from
Yeah.
all the other different mental health initiatives? And one thing that's coming to my mind right now, and I don't want to bias your thought processes, is
Hmm.
what if you offer this chat in vernaculars as well? Maybe you'll get access to a different kind of target audience altogether if that is accessible. if that's
Yeah.
available, rather.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we are at 4:21. We have 9 minutes to go. So I will, encourage you guys to ask any other questions that you might have for me as of now. And I am just going to put my email ID on the chat for all of you. And Nupur already has my email ID. You can also take that from her in case you miss it here. That's my email ID. And for those of you who want, share your design brief with me. I'd be very happy to take a look at what you guys have made, right? So yeah, with that, I think thank you all. It was lovely, and I've rarely had such an engaged audience throughout. I cannot even believe it's almost been 1.5 hours. It didn't feel like it at all, right? So that's all on you guys. Thank you for being such a good audience, I would say. Now, if anyone has any questions, please unmute yourselves and ask me. I'd be happy to take them. No one has any questions?
There's some hands raised, Antara, Om, and Sia.
Okay. So who wants to go first? Om, can you go? Hi, are
Oh,
you there?
sorry, my hand was
Yeah.
just raised from the previous.
Oh, okay. So you don't have a question. Anyone else who has a question, don't raise your hand. Just unmute yourself and talk about it. Okay, I don't want to do that whole school thing where I call on people to ask questions. So yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, I would love some feedback. Did you like the session? Did you not like the session? At least if you could tell me that. Like, was the session useful? Anything about the whole 1.5 hours that we've spent here? Okay, Nitya has her hand up. Nitya, please go ahead.
Yeah, so the entire session was absolutely amazing. I found it to personally be really insightful for me. The first introduction that you gave initially was actually very insightful. We learned so much about you as a person, your career, and we took a lot of inspiration as to how many varying sort of careers are there to pursue. And then even the whole design thinking concept is now just fixed in my head. It was explained so beautifully and smoothly, and the session was really lovely. And even in the last, how all the people shared their ideas, I have learned so much from that. Even though my design model couldn't be ready on time, I think I have learned so much from all these inspiring people, and I'll certainly share it with my design model with you on email for sure. And thank you so
Great,
much for
Nitya.
being here. The Career Cafe was
No,
absolutely
I'm lucky that I'm here amongst all of you.
no, we are. It was absolutely worth it. Thank you.
Most welcome. Adish has his hand up. Adish, if you could just unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. So I absolutely loved the introduction which you gave about your life. So that is a lot of inspiring thing for us. And then the last I was very happy to listen the design thinking ideas of others, and the ideas were too nice, and I was actually not able to prepare them because there were a lot of things going in my mind that how to do it with a single thing, because I did not had a I did not had a goal of any invention, because my the aim of my life is not to invent anything or do something like that, but it was nice of others.
So I'll just say one thing. You don't have to want to invent anything. You can just want to solve a problem around
Yeah,
you,
problem
right?
solving, yes,
Yeah,
basically.
problem solving. It could be anything like, curtain rods are too high. Any simple problem in your day-to-day life that,
That
how
is
can you
solved
solve
actually,
for?
ma'am.
Or
That is
if you
that
eat fish, like there are too many bones in a fish. Like, how do I optimize eating a fish? It could be as simple as that, right? Create something. I'm sure in 5 years from now, there'll be something that, helps you do that faster. Okay, Ujjwal.
Yes, thank you.
So, ma'am, this one thing which I loved the most was about the slides. So, your story was inspirational, but that when you add it into the slides, I could imagine that how the problems were being solved and how was your life going on, and even the design thinking, the way I thought, it changed a bit. So first I thought it's just for 5 stages, but now like it's it's more deeper. So how does it change your mind? How does it change your reactions like that?
Great. We have 3 minutes. I can see here. You want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. In the beginning, when you started with your story, it was just amazing, a fantastic experience which you had, and I'm really grateful that you shared it with us because it's so inspiring and it like provokes us to do and give it all we want, and we've got so many career options and we can choose what we like. It's not constrained. It's not forced that we have to choose this or that. And being open to all these things really helps in life. And also about those design ideas, which you got to know that this can also happen. It's just not what you think, but what others think. You can take that into your consideration, and it helps you to think a lot. It
Right.
helps you to broaden. That's enough.
I think Vishaka has a question. I'm sorry if I'm still not pronouncing your name correctly, but
It's Vishika, ma'am, but it's all right.
Vishika, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. So the question I have is, how do you find the target audience? Because I am actually a published author myself, but even before I wrote a book, like I compiled my poetry, I was an Instagram poet, so I already had enough reach and a couple thousand followers. So
Right.
I knew who to market to, and it was easy for me. But now that I want to become a speaker, a motivational speaker, and I want to sell courses, I don't know who to market to.
So, what kind of courses are you trying to curate, if I can
It's
ask?
still very much in the rough, ma'am, but you know how to make children prodigies, ma'am.
How to make, sorry?
Normal kids prodigies.
Acha, so then clearly your target audience is kids, but again, kids is very broad. What kind of kids? Teenagers, below teenagers, young kids? What are you talking about?
Ma'am,
So
for the age group, we're thinking 11 to around 17.
11 to 17. So okay, you've already defined one thing. Then you need to have clarity on, are you trying to reach out to the urban population? Are you trying to reach out to semi-urban, rural, or all, like maybe slice it that way first?
Urban,
Because urban, right? Okay. What is the language that you want to deliver in, which again will bring down your
English.
again your 50% is gone right there. 50 to, or you're probably left with a 60 to 70% of audience that can really benefit from this. Again, like, this is largely school, right? So you know where you have to do your outreach. You have to reach out to schools, and you have to probably make your pitch to the administration of the school and convince them first about the quality of what you're trying to deliver. And then, like, you can do it B2B. You can go via schools, which will be B2B for you, or you can also do it B2C, which is where you set up your website and, like you said, your Instagram, Twitter, all of these things. Now there's Clubhouse also, where you can just have a room and just start talking about it, and you will find people that sort of come for this. And of course, social media marketing has endless possibilities. I am not the best person to talk about social media marketing, but of course, there's this whole mechanism to target your particular kind of audience, which exists, which I have seen happening, which form, like, you have to pay a nominal amount and you can define, and your posts become visible to even people who are not following you, for example.
Promotion.
So yeah, so all of those things you can do, but these are all very, they are old techniques. Like, now with things like Clubhouse and Instagram becoming so easy and so accessible, Instagram, if you just create a business account, there's so much more available to you than a normal Instagram account. So all of those analytics, etc., you can definitely leverage to understand better what your audience
Actually,
looks
it's a
like,
cool
right?
suggestion because I did not consider that. Now, yeah, the school one is.
Yeah,
I've already researched on social media funnels, and now I can sell my book and then
yeah.
direct them
So
to.
B2B just helps you to multiply your efforts a lot, because B2C is a very long road, and it's like converting every customer, while when you're approaching your schools, etc., you're getting access to X number of students together, right?
That makes sense. Thank you.
So yep. I think we are over time, but if anyone else has, say, one last question, I think Nupur will allow us to take that.
Mom, I have
Sure.
a little query.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a lot of insights from your session today, but it's not related to design thinking. And emerging as a new entrepreneur, if someone wants to, like, is it? I mean, there is so much competition out there, and there are companies from like 20 years who are so experienced in this field, and you want to go in the same field, but but there's a lot of competition, and you won't thrive. So, mom, what is the solution to that? Because
First, you never think that you won't thrive. You will thrive,
I mean,
because pulling yourself down the moment you're saying you won't thrive. So never say that to yourself. Never dismiss yourself. Never underrate yourself.
mhm,
Because if you start losing faith in yourself, if you're talking to me and if I'm your client, customer, potential customer, I won't have faith in you.
of course. Oh yeah,
So and that comes across. So you have to be very, very confident that you are the best.
that's an internalization. But
Yeah.
the first design model that came up, it was something concerning the online education model where you can self study and all. There are so many companies out there, like
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
academy and Byju's and Khan Academy. So if I want to start up in the very same field, will I be able to thrive? Because there are so many startups, there are so many big companies which I'll have to eventually grapple with.
You'll have
I
to
sort of
create
I will
your.
get intimidated. So
No, that's
how?
perfectly okay. Getting intimidated, getting overwhelmed is part of everyday life, I guess, for all of us. But what we need to understand is, first, what are we really good at, right? And
Yeah.
secondly, what is the audience that is probably not being served by all these n number of companies that exist there.
Mm-hmm.
There will be overlaps. I'm not saying there'll not be overlaps at all, but try and identify, because like a country as diverse as India, and I'm assuming you're trying to solve for India.
Right.
There is always scope to define and create new markets out of the
Mm-hmm.
overlaps that exist right now.
Right.
And also in terms of your offering, right? Like all of these different platforms offer a particular kind of courses,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's you need to understand where it is.
So I need to target
Hopefully,
my certain range of audience, and I have to
yeah,
understand what
yeah,
really would make me stand out from the rest.
right.
Right. And
Okay, so Nupur is
yeah,
telling me
thank
we
you.
are way over time. Feel free
Thank
to
you.
email me, but we have to wrap this up for now. And thank you again for joining, all of you. You were great.
Thank you, mom.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you, mom.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Bye.
bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Antara. And I'm very sure they all loved interacting with you. And guys, you have Antara's email
Yeah.
ID. In case you want to share your ideas with her, definitely, why not? So please go
Okay,
ahead.
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you very much.